This is Genesis chapter 46, decoded. All right, so I'm going to do the decode for you. I'm not going to pull up all the tabs like I usually do. It's time consuming, and I think these are a lot more digestible when we just go through them, right? And if you have any questions about anything that we talk about on this, just leave it in the comments and I'll dissect it for you, whether if you want me to look into something or if you have a question about anything. We're on chapter 46 currently. We've done 45 other decodes, deep dives, and I would say they've been fruitful, but at the same time, not a lot of people are watching, I think, because these are very time consuming. And they could be very confusing if you're not watching every video and building up to this point. Probably left in the dark, unfortunately. So I'm just going to try to simplify these things and do the research for you and just talk about it. If you have any questions, like I said, just leave them in the comments. Okay. In the previous decodes, we've decoded a lot of stuff. We went kind of deep on a lot of topics on the allegories, the parallels. I probably won't pull out every little parallel like I used to before, but the allegories for sure. Like this current chapter or this story of Joseph, how it's allegorically Jesus, which every story is essentially. But this one is very, very obvious, and it's hard not to notice. And it's even equated to even the second coming with the 7 years of famine, like the 7 years of tribulation. And I've seen other channels touch on this now. A lot of the information that we've discussed and talked about, I think it's via the Holy Spirit is giving it to everybody, because I know nobody's really watching these, but it's definitely gratifying seeing other people touch on the subjects that we talked about. Exactly what I just said right now, it being an allegory to Christ, to Jesus, and the 7-year tribulation. Okay, so just to give a quick insight to where we're at, the Bible in its total, the Old Testament, or at least Genesis so far, we can see the bride of Christ story. We can even see the rebirth, right? The birthing in the beginning, the cleansing with Noah, and then Christ coming to look for his bride, essentially through all the stories, starting with like Abraham. So Abraham sought a bride for his son Isaac, correct? That's the story of Abraham and Isaac. And then you go to the next story of Jacob seeking out a bride, but he gets two brides. He gets the Jews and the Gentiles, Rachel and Leah. And we've talked about this many times, and I've seen other channels even touch on that same topic, that same ideal of the Jews and the Gentiles, Rachel and Leah. So you know we're on the right track here. And then in the following story, after he gets the two brides, comes the great famine, the 7-year tribulation. And so you know that Genesis is a bridal story. In Genesis, you get the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. So we can see and judge timelines and circumstances through Genesis. And I believe that the Joseph story is an overlooked story of seeing what's going to happen in the end. My personal opinion. And a forewarning too is always, always, always stick to the literal translation first and foremost before you attach any allegories, before you attach any other kind of, wide-eyed conspiracy or possible truth or anything. Just always stick to the literal, especially if it frightens you, because the truth does, it is scary at first. I'm proud to say that the majority of this stuff, if not everything, has already been verified through other channels as well, whether it comes out later or is something that's been talked about in the past. Anyways, just to get that out of the way. Okay, so the bridal stories in progress, right? So the Jews and the Gentiles, now we're in the 7-year tribulation. with Joseph, right? And Joseph in itself is allegorically Jesus. And probably, how is that so? Because Joseph goes through the same tribulation as Jesus did. So Joseph's coat of many colors is attributed to the rainbow. And if you watch the rainbow decode a couple of videos back, you'll see the rainbow is directly connected to Christ. And I pulled up a couple tabs on that. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. Revelation 10:1. That was Revelation 4:3. This is Revelation 10:1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a white cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head. And his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. So there's another revelation um, describing Christ in the same fashion right here. Right, his face was as bright as the sun. His voice was like many waters. So you can see this rainbow connection to the throne and to Jesus. And in that video, I get way more in depth about it. But it's safe to say. And then also too, so like in Noah, um, the the angle that we're able to see the rainbow is 42 degrees. And then from Abraham, just like the bridal story I just spoke of, from Abraham to Jesus, it's 14, 14, 14 generations, which is 42 degrees, 42. Kind of cool. So you know it's attributed to Christ, the rainbow, the new covenant. Okay, so we'll go back to the story. And so you know his coat of many colors is a direct connection to Jesus. And here's another. We pulled out, if you're a regular viewer, we pulled out dozens upon dozens of connections to Christ in this story. These are just very obvious ones just to get you caught up if you haven't been watching or if you forgot. Okay, so another obvious one was this one right here. Matthew 1:16. And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Jacob and Joseph. Okay? And Joseph's dad is his name is Jacob, and he's the allegorical Christ. See the connection? So they're letting you know, God is letting you know that Joseph is allegorically Christ. It's not just some woo woo. But I know a lot of people interpret that way, especially of old school people. I don't mean to say like older people or anything like that. I'm just saying the old school Bible people that are just afraid to look up at the stars or, you know, put any kind of connection or allegory together. There you go. That's pretty blatant to me. And it explains the code of many colors. Okay, so on that note, just gonna breeze through it. There's not much in this chapter because we're going towards the twilight of the story, and I'm just like I said even before, I'm just gonna read this stuff, and I'm gonna just tell you the parallels and the allegories that are worth mentioning, which it's all worth mentioning, but I don't want to leave you in the dust. So we know that there's on that note, we know that there's an allegory going along with this story. So keep that in mind. All right. Okay. So we're on chapter 46:1. And Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac. So Beersheba means 7 wells. Okay. Verse 2. And God spoke unto Israel in the vision of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. Okay, these two verses are very important because of Beersheba speaking to Israel like he did in the past. So Beersheba is seven wells, and Isaac is connected to the seven wells, which I'll show you. And we see the same allegory happen right here in Genesis 26. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father. Okay. And so the wells got covered up. And so he's redigging these wells. No need to go through all this stuff. And then right after he redug the wells, the Lord appeared unto him the same night. And to me that connects the all the sevens in the Bible are always connected to Christ too, like the tribulation, the seven colors of the rainbow, right? The seven lampstands and candlesticks and all that, the seven churches. And I believe these are in direct, the seven wells are connected to the seven inner churches, right? How he's cleansing, recleaning his inner wells, and then God appears to him. Let alone, I'm just saying that's the allegory. Um, I think even literally, it's, it's attributed to pretty much the same thing. It's symbolic for that. I know that it happened literally, but I believe that God works on many levels, and I believe that He's letting us know inwardly this is connected. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about that might frighten people, but it's there, man. These are the things we have to explore to get deeper understanding. We have to tread these you know these uncharted territories sometimes, unfortunately. Okay, verse 3. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will make of thee a great nation. And we've heard this parallel over and over and over again. Verse 4. And I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will also surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thy eyes. So what that means is that Joseph will um, be there when he dies. All right. It's a custom for the Greeks and the Jews to close the eyes of the deceased relative. Okay. Verse 5. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones, and their wives, and the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle and their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob, and all of his seed with him, and his sons, and his sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. These are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt: Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. And the sons of Reuben, Hanok, and Phalu, and Hezron, and Carmi. And the sons of Simon, Jemuel, Jamin, and Ohad, and Jachin, and Zoar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanitish woman. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the sons of Judah, and Onan, and Shelah, and Pharez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Pharez were Hezron and Hamul. And the sons of Shar, Tola, Fuva, and Job, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun, Sered, and Elon, and Jalil. These be the sons of Leah, which he bare unto Jacob in Padan Aram, with his daughter Dinah, and all the souls of his sons and his daughters were 33. And coincidentally, Leah is the bloodline of Christ. And then you get the 33 there, which that was kind of cool. And the sons of God, Zephion and Haggai, Shunai, and Esbron, and Eri, and Erodai, and Erolai. And the sons of Asher, Jimnah, and Ishhua, and Isui, and Beri, and Sarai, their sister, and the sons of Beri, Heber, and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bare unto Jacob, even 16 souls. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph, and Benjamin. And Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim. Okay, so Manasseh and Ephraim are also equated to, as we touched on before, the Virgo constellation. And we'll get into that at another time for viewers that haven't watched that or know what I'm talking about. Just keep that in mind. Which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bare unto him. And the sons of Benjamin were Bela, and Becher, and Ashbel, and Gera, and Naaman, and Ehi, and Rosh, and Mupim, and Hupim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel which were born to Jacob. All the souls were 14, and the sons of Dan and Hushim. Sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, and Gunai, and Jezer, and Shillim. These are the sons of Bilhah, which Laban gave unto Rachel his daughter. She bare these unto Jacob. All the souls were 7. And there's your 7 connection right there too. And all the souls came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives. All the souls were 66. And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were souls. And verse 27, and the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came in Egypt, were 70. He sent Judah before him unto Joseph to direct his face into Goshen. And he came into the land of Goshen. And Goshen means to draw near. There's other name interpretations of Goshen, but that's the most common one I could find. Kind of like drawing near, like, the goal, right? The other side. Heaven. And Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet Israel his father to Goshen, and presented himself unto him. And he fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. So like Joseph was the last one. So there's 3 bands that went to Egypt. They went to Egypt 3 times. The 12 siblings, meaning the 12 tribes of Israel. There's your allegory, right? So you have Joseph being allegorically Jesus. Then the 12 brothers are the 12 tribes of Israel. Um, with that being said, you have Israel was the last one to see Joseph. And it kind of reminds me of Israel, like the nation, right? Because in the end times, they're the last ones to believe in Jesus Christ, right? The Gentiles, we already believe in Jesus. The innocents already, they don't have to believe in Jesus. They're innocent, right? The children, the 144. Okay, so with that being said, you have Goshen, meaning to draw near, because Israel drew near to Jesus, and he finally met, or finally, reunited with Joseph, with our God. And Israel, verse 30, and Israel said unto Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. See, now he's ready to go. Seeing God, allegorically speaking, of course. And Joseph said unto his brethren and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, my brethren and my father's house, which are in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all they have. Come to pass when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, what is your occupation? That you shall say, thy servants' trade have been about cattle from our youth unto now, both we and also our fathers, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. So the reason why he tells them to say that is so they can get their own segregated land away from the Egyptians. Kind of like a reverse psychology tactic. And these are things that I've looked up, so they're verified. And that's pretty much it on this particular chapter. I'm trying to keep them short and sweet. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you for watching.